Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED. March the 5th is our date of 2016. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. We're both real estate brokers with John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, and we get together with you once a week here on KMED to talk about all sorts of real estate-related topics and issues. And in almost 6 years, we've never run out of topics, and we won't today either, because we are so fortunate to have a John L. Scott Market Watch show for you today, where we talk with a John L. Scott real estate brokers in kind of get their view of the market. As you know, we talk to you every week about it, but boy, is it good to get other viewpoints, Joe, because it's everybody has a different story to tell.
And our listeners really appreciate that. Those other viewpoints bring a lot to the table. I'm looking forward to it today.
Well, Trevor and Gina Boucher are our guests, and they're both real estate brokers at John L. Scott. And I first met you, well, we all kind of came to John L. Scott about the same time, Trevor, I think. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. I've been at John L. Scott. My wife, Gina, and I have been at John L. Scott for about 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
And the moment I met you, Pete, I was like, that guy's got to work in radio. He's got this golden voice.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, that's really true. And Gina, same to you. You, same thing. You guys work together as a team, right?
We do.
Yeah, you got to talk into that. You got to right into that closer. So you guys work together as a real estate team, much like Joe, you and I do, and it really comes in handy, doesn't it? Because you always got somebody to to back you up, to help you when you get busy. If you have questions,
I don't have to go home with you at night.
That is
the big difference.
That's the one I was going to say.
Glad you clarified that.
Yeah. I was going to say that's the one advantage that I have that you probably don't have, is that you can throw away and call him up, but you do it together. So how did you know? People who come into our show, real estate brokers, we found over the years, much like Joe and I, we all came from some other place to real estate. And Trevor, you the same way. Tell me your story. How did you become a real estate broker?
Well, before I got my license, I worked for 17 years as a surgical tech in cardiac surgery, 6 of those years here at Rogue Regional.
Oh, okay.
But it had always been mine and Gina's plan to work together as a team. She got her license in 2006.
2006, okay,
right,
yeah.
Kind of right before the downturn.
Yeah.
And then, so shortly after that, the downturn began, and we soon realized that it was safer for me to stay at the hospital, have a steady paycheck.
So you
have
put it off for
health
a bit.
insurance.
Okay.
But then in 2013, she had her best year ever, and so we figured it was time for me to take the leap of faith and join her, and we haven't looked back.
So in 2013, so the market had been rebounding, obviously, by then, and so that was the time to come in to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
And so you guys, how do you get along really well to do this? I mean, you're successful. Yeah. I see they also, by the way, Joe won. Congratulations. They're one of the award winners from John L. Scott, so they're good producing agents and things like that.
Thank you.
That's very nice. So tell me about the market. What are you two seeing around in your world that people that you can share with us today?
Well, it's funny. 2014 was a good year. It was really busy, and then 2015 was even busier.
Exploded, didn't it?
And now the beginning of this year is even busier than last year.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking.
Yeah. And the growth is, as long as it's steady and it continues to make this gradual climb, it's a healthy market. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to skyrocket like we did before. So as long as it maintains on this kind of pace, I think it'll be pretty good.
And Gina, you're talking about like values. You talk about values and prices and things
mm-hmm.
like that. Well, I'm curious, because we have the assessor change, going on down at the courthouse. But January 1st is the date. The new real market values, for the previous year come out, and you're right. We had double-digit increases for a couple of years there, right around 2012 and 11, 12, and it went right in there. But this last year it was 7%, which was a heck of a lot better. But I agree with you, Gina. If it seems like it's going to be as busier than this year than it was last year, that concerns me that's really going to take off again, and we're going to be in trouble.
Well, it's just a simple law of supply and demand. There's not a lot of inventory out there, which has spurred new construction. But at the same time, you've got a lot of people relocating up here from California and Washington and Colorado, which has just really spurred a lot of activity in the market. And then you couple that with a low inventory of available rentals. I think the rental vacancy rate right now is about 2.2%. So there's actually a lot of people who have been renters in the past who are starting to realize that they can actually purchase and have a mortgage payment that's a little bit less than what their rent would be.
Mm-hmm. When you're seeing people move in here, as you talk with clients, from out of state, you mentioned, did you notice the 3 states that he mentioned, Joe?
Yeah.
You mentioned Colorado, Washington, right?
Right.
In California.
Well, in California. I mean, those are the 3. Those are the 3 states, 2 states that also legalized recreational marijuana. Is that coming here? That's what you're seeing as part of that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It seems like since it's been legalized here in Oregon, that there's a land grab, so to speak. In order to cultivate marijuana and be within the regulations, you have to have land that has irrigation rights. So what we're seeing is that those properties, rural properties that have irrigation rights, they're getting kind of snatched up.
Well, when I first, you could buy an acre, from Talon Irrigation District for, a few $100s, not that many years ago. And today, those rights for an acre right are somewhere at $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. That's how much that's how much pressure is coming on rural properties. So I don't think it's going to slow down.
One of the reasons for that is that Jackson County is situated in a place, climate, soil, and seasonal wise, to where it produces some of the best cannabis in the entire nation. Yeah. And it's just a fact of the science. It's a great region for wine growing that we found, and the wines that we grow here are very adapted specifically to the climate and to the season we have here, as opposed to Umpqua Valley or some of the other places, the Willamette Valley. And the same thing. It's a gold mine
what's the third leg of that stool? GMO-free county, right?
Right. So I wonder if that means that all the marijuana that's going to be grown is going to be GMO-free.
I don't know.
It better be, right?
Yeah. But we're really seeing the creation of a whole new industry here. And when Lennox Scott, was down here a year ago, I did an interview with him, and I asked him how recreational marijuana has affected real estate in Washington State, and he said, "You're the first person who's ever asked that question." But the difference between Oregon and everybody else is that we can grow your own. And that's what's created the real estate issues that we're seeing, a lot of them. And the other states don't have that. Man, it's such a topic. We can just go on and on about that. But I guess the bottom line, Trevor and Gina, is that you as brokers are seeing this also have an effect in our valley in terms of real estate.
Right. Absolutely. There's people coming from out of area that have experience growing in other places. Now that it's legal here, wanting to buy up land that has irrigation rights, like I had mentioned before. So it's definitely added to the amount of activity going on here in Jackson County.
And there's a lot of land around here that does not have water rights, by the way. And if people are buying these up thinking that they can do this, that's where the conflict is going to come in. And real estate brokers, really need to know that. I mean, I worry about that a lot.
Are you on rural residential land?
Yeah.
You are on forest reserve?
Right.
There are regulations that Wednesday and Thursday of this week that Jackson County commissioners are continuing a series of 10 to 12 land use hearings as they are hammering out the regulations for marijuana in Jackson County. So nobody really knows what the rules are going to shake out as. Medford Council is referring to ballot measures to the citizens for November as to whether or not they'll even allow retail sales or that type of activity in the city of Medford. So a lot of it's still up in the air. It's going to have a long-term effect as we go forward.
I can really tell you've attended a lot of those
hearings. A lot of meetings, Pete. Yeah, a lot of meetings.
You know about this stuff. Yeah. Ask him. He's like a font of information flowing.
He should be deputized by Damien Mann from the Mail Tribune. That could be a good resource.
Well, that's really true. Let me change directions with you. By the way, we're with Trevor and Gina Boucher from John L. Scott on the John L. Scott Market Watch show today on the Real Estate Show. Now, Trevor, you're doing something that I'm curious about how you're doing this, and that is you're helping develop a subdivision or something along those lines. Tell Joe and I tell us what you're doing with that.
Well, it's being developed by McJoya Properties. It's the name of the subdivision is Anjou View. It's off Thomas Road in Southwest Medford. It's going to be 19 lots, including the existing home, which has been completely remodeled and is already on the market. So we've kind of partnered with the builder and his partner, who's kind of bankrolling the project. And he's about, I'd say, 4 weeks out from having final plot. We currently are taking lot reservations. But those homes in there, brand new construction, nice homes, good quality, They're going to start at about 1,450 square feet, and those will be priced starting at $239. That's about $165 a square foot, and that's about what new construction in that area is going for.
165. Yep. Now, when you did you see these? Now, are you in this? First of all, is off Thomas Road, Southwest Medford. Are you in the city limits?
Correct. Yes.
Mm-hmm. You are in the city.
Yes.
All right. How difficult?
It's over my way.
It's over right by you, right? By your house. How difficult? Because I've always. How difficult is this to get a development going right today? I mean, was this a difficult thing to do? Was it years in the planning? Or tell me that story, because I've heard all sorts of different things about, trying to develop properties around our county.
Just to be clear, we're not the actual developers, but right. We are working with the developers who have rolled up their sleeves and done all the hard work.
Sure.
So first of all, the property is brought into the urban growth boundary, and then you have to submit to the county to get it subdivided. Or the city to get it subdivided. Then you have to get initial plot for the subdivision. They have to approve the size of the lots and the streets, how they'll go, and all of that.
Oh, they have to approve a lot.
Mm-hmm. And this is all like the systems development charges coming forth. I'm sure. I can't even imagine what the systems development charges the city of Medford would charge in something like that. I mean, it'd be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would assume.
So at this point, since we don't have final plot, you don't get final plot until the street lamps are up and they've been energized.
Really?
After that point, the inspector will come out and give you final plot. So we're, like I said, about 4 weeks away from that. So at this point, you're not allowed to actually sell any of the lots till you have final plot, but we can take lot reservations. That being said, the existing home, which is technically a remodel, it's the only thing left on it that's original is the subfloor and a couple of the walls. The rest of the house is pretty much completely new. It looks and feels like a brand new house. But because that was the original house on the 2.9 acre lot,
on the lot,
that one we are able to sell before receiving final plot.
Yeah, that's pretty good. New construction, that's good to hear that. I mean, first of all.
And we've heard stories. Brad Bennington from the Southern Oregon Builders Association has educated us really well. Where did your developers get the dirt? Did they have this land in hand? Did they go out and get this land?
They went out and got it from another developer.
Who also another developer had it, and they bought it from them, perhaps. Okay,
correct. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we've heard that Southwest,
because new land is hard to come by now. The foreclosed land that was readily available has really been spoken for. So it's a new game to get these new developments and to find the reasonably priced land to make it all work.
Right.
Because you're right, the SDCs and all that goes into it leaves a very thin margin at the end.
Right, and when you do see land that's available, you got to be cautious. Which was the case in this particular plot of land, is that unbeknownst to the developer that we're working with that bought it, it had a high water table. Okay. And so he's had to do a lot of extra work to accommodate the city for that high water table, a lot of extra expense.
Yeah. Now when we were out at the home show, Trevor, Gina, we actually did some interviews and saw different people who were doing everything from wiring your home, when you build them, to talk to your refrigerators and washer and dryers, I guess, and I don't even know what you call that, TVs and anything like that. Are these homes that you're talking about there, are we to that point where this now is a part of it, that people want this kind of thing? Do they want
He wants to talk to his refrigerator through his phone.
I can't believe somebody would do that, but they are. I mean, they're selling this stuff.
Is there nobody at home to remind you when you're out of beer, Pete?
That's what I want to look in my refrigerator.
Anyway. When that third shelf gets a little light to a certain weight, I know I'm low on beer.
You need an alarm just to
exactly.
There is a demand.
I was making fun of me, aren't you? It's true though. Trevor, save me, buddy. Here.
There is a demand for smart homes, quote unquote smart homes.
Okay.
Smart home technology.
Smart homes, yes. Okay.
And that is something that we're actually looking at doing in this subdivision. We've looked into, the Nest is a smart thermostat. It learns your trends as far as what temperature you like your house during different parts of the day, and it'll automatically set it at those temperatures. But then another thing that we've started looking into is called Wink, and it's kind of a hub. And through this Wink hub, you can control multiple smart appliances within your home. Not only your thermostat, not only your garage door, but also you can control locks on your front door, smoke detectors.
I can't think of anything.
Even blinds.
I can't think of anything.
Pete would like to be able to have a Skype function with his dog when he's away. We can just talk to him and comfort them.
I see you. Get off the couch.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that if people are going to want this type of stuff, that the learning curve, teaching them how to use it and things like that, especially for our generation, I suppose younger homeowners are going to be real adapt to this, and it's going to be the thing of the future. Certainly these guys out at the home show, they're busier than heck.
Yeah.
They're doing remodeling. They're doing all sorts of smart connections, et cetera, into homes. So you're putting that in. That was the point there, that you're actually doing that, and it's happening. So it's here.
Yeah, it's not determined as to what extent we'll be making them as smart homes, but there are going to be smart features for sure.
Right. And for the young kids, it's just another app.
Another app, yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, the real estate show's rolling on here on KMED. We got a break coming up. We're talking with Trevor and Gina Boucher from John L. Scott here on our Market Watch show on KMED, and we're coming right back here right after this. Real Estate Show rolls on KMED March the 5th, 2016. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you. Don't forget, you can watch any of our shows. You can just go online at realestateshowOregon.com. We invite you to do that. Next week, the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, the annual food and wine event coming up on March the 31st. We'll give you a kind of quick update on that thing. It's a big benefit. It helps people with $1,000 in closing costs or for first-time home buyers. It's a wonderful program. That's where that event goes. In 2 weeks from today, So Ready, the Southern Oregon Regional Economic Development Association will be here to talk about real estate and jobs and how the two intertwine with each other. Today here on the show, Trevor and Gina Boucher, a real estate, John L. Scott, real estate brokers are here, a real estate team, a Team Boucher. What you call that, right? Team Boucher?
Yes.
I like that. That's good. That's got a catchy name.
It seemed logical.
Yeah, it did. And with what we've heard so far today, it's a busy time of the year. We've learned, of course, that the marijuana world, how that is affecting real estate. You're seeing that. We see it as well every week with our guests. Trevor is developing or selling right now, or taking reservations, I should say, for the Anjou View subdivision in southwest Medford. Did you say 17 lots or 19, did you say?
It'll be 19 total, including the remodeled home.
Yeah. And what are the size of those lots, by the way, Trevor?
They range from 0.11 all the way up to 0.17 acre.
Isn't that normal? Isn't that a normal kind of lot size that Medford has?
We've right now, we've got to build a lot of homes, and we don't have a lot of lots and a lot of space to build those homes in, so they're going to be a little tighter. But I'll tell you, you have great potential for that subdivision because it's close to the new South Medford High School, where a lot of new development is taking place in Southwest Medford's going through a little bit of a surge right now. It's going to be some of the best deals on new homes in Medford are going to be centered in that area right there, and I can tell by those prices, even under 300 for those 1,400, 1,500 square foot homes is going to be a real opportunity.
Well, remember, the busiest one of these things, John L. Scott, as we learned, is you break down the short inventory in the price range you're talking about is what, $239 right in that thing?
Right, $239 up to about $285.
New construction.
Sweet spot.
That's like what, a 1 month supply of inventory of that. So
Exactly.
in the valley.
Right.
So they're going to sell. What's interesting of what you said, Trevor, is that it's Southwest Medford and not Southeast Medford or East Medford, which is where everybody says all the building's happening. So this is going to be a good diversion to go to the southwest side of town.
Rounding out
our
inventory nicely.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty good to hear. What do you got for advice for buyers? One of the things happening when you get into this situation where the sellers are in control of a deal, because it's the seller's market right now with the inventory,
and a lot of buyers out there,
and a lot of demand is there. What are you seeing in terms of buyers? What advice can you two give to buyers? Because I've been running around East Medford. We've been looking at property in East Medford, and I'm telling you, they're going that 250, 275, 300 range. They're going in 3 and 4 days right now. Yep. I've noticed.
The quality property is well priced.
They're disappearing fast. Okay, what do you tell people?
Well, be prepared to be competitive. And one of the things that can kind of give you a leg up on competition of your fellow buyers is that instead of just going and talking to a lender over the phone and having them email you a pre-qualification letter, I would recommend sitting down, meeting with the lender, bringing all of your paperwork, and getting fully pre-approved. And any seller when they're in a multiple offer situation and they see that you have the much stronger pre-approval letter versus the less strong pre-qual letter, even if your offer isn't quite as strong monetarily, they certainly will consider you because you're stronger and able to close the deal.
So you're well, and that makes sense too. If you
the listing agents, they really are sniffing out the quality of your buyers and the strength of your buyers in those multiple offer situations. I have just noticed that. A lot of questions, a lot of interest in kind of making a case for your buyer and being in a strong position.
Yeah. Well,
they don't want to mess with it because they got a lot of options out there to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. I don't know what you do in some of those situations you find yourself in. I know that we've heard people come through with multiple offers and people are going above the asking price. So you're right. If you're not ready, you're going to lose them.
Right, but at the same time, I just want to touch on the fact that it is a very competitive market, and especially in the price band that you had mentioned, the 300,000 and less. But that being said, there's still opportunities that a lot of people will put roadblocks in front of them, unnecessarily so. They'll think that they have to save up 20% for a down payment, or that they couldn't possibly qualify because their credit's not good enough.
Right.
But so I would strongly encourage them to sit down with the lender. Even if you don't qualify at this point, they'll set up a game plan for you so you know exactly what you do, so you get to the point where you can qualify and buy. And then not only that, there are programs out there that you can buy with as little as 3.5% down, FHA loan. And then in some instances with rural property, you can buy with 0 down using a USDA loan or a VA loan.
Yeah, and they're out there, and people do take advantage of those.
And the great point there is find out where you're at. Don't just accept that you have to rent and be in a tough rental, and your rents are going to creep up. I mean, as the demand and the vacancy rate stays under pressure, get in a situation where you're owning your own property, and you'll probably be pleasantly surprised how close you are from being a renter to becoming a homeowner.
Yes.
Well, I've seen I have 2 clients who got conventional loans, and both 5% down.
Yeah.
And like I say, when I bought my house, it was 20% down. That was the you couldn't even say, well, I can only do 15. Can you do 10? It was 20. You had no option there. So 5% is really quite remarkable.
You bought homes in the 80s.
I go back further.
What was the interest rate, Pete?
No, well, my first house actually cost $17,000, and the interest rate was 17% in 1978. So it was, look at the difference now. Of what we're seeing. So, and renters, as you say, I think let's go back to that point, because renters, the rental market, you can get into an ownership of a house, and I think I think
for
right now maybe the time to do it.
Yeah.
It's very true, and we have some clients. They just closed, I think, 2 weeks ago on their house. They were living in East Medford. They were paying $1,400 a month in rent. They have 3 dogs. They get a notice from the landlord that he wants to move back to town, so they're giving them 60 days to move out. So here they are with 3 dogs, trying to find a place to rent.
Trying to find a rental for that.
Nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're trying to find a place to rent in the $1,400 price range. What they're finding out, though, is they've been there a couple years, and now a similar house is renting for $1,600 or $1,700.
Right.
And so they come to us and ask for our help, and we're like, well, interest rates are still very low.
Yeah.
And we're pretty confident that we can find you something that your mortgage payment will actually be less than the $1,600 or $1,700 for similar rental that you're looking at. And we actually were able to find them something, and their payment on a loan amount of about $211,000 is total for everything $1,285 a month.
Wow.
And they can never get kicked out, and the 3 dogs will always
No
be
more
welcome.
notice ever.
And the 3 dogs can stay. I mean, and that's the kind of the work that real estate brokers can do in terms of serving clients and helping clients find what they want. That's really
Well, I
great.
hope folks out hear that out there, because those are stories that can come true for a lot of people. A lot of folks out there could make that happen.
Do you 2 deal much in the higher end? Up above that 500, the 500,000 and higher is the FHA limit kinds of loans. It's a different market there, isn't it, than really what we're seeing down
It is.
down
Yes,
low?
it is.
Absolutely. It is a different market. Those properties tend to sit on the market longer. It's just a smaller pool of buyers. But yeah, we have a listing now, I think it's 1.19 million, and it's It is a different market. You're dealing with different people, for sure. And
but those people are out there, aren't they? I mean, they buy those properties, and they're coming our direction as well. We're getting across the border. You're seeing, is that what you're seeing in terms of people moving here? They're coming in all sorts of price categories. Some come for jobs, some come for other things too, then.
Correct, yeah. We're getting a lot of people coming here from the Bay Area is what we've noticed.
Retirees?
Retiring and telecommuting.
Telecommuting jobs, yeah.
Right. San Jose and San Francisco, as a lot of people know, is just in an incredible market right now. It's going up so fast. I think maybe even the same pace before the bubble burst in 2007.
Geez.
Well, the median price house in the city and county of San Francisco is $1 million. Who in the world wants to live in that? I mean, I'd get out of there too. You know what? They're coming here.
Spend half your life in traffic.
Telecommuting.
Telecommuting. Hey, the Real Estate Show. We're with Trevor and Gina Boucher today. Here, we're coming right back to KMED, our final segment, right after this. Real Estate Show rolls on KMED March the 5th. Pete Belcastro with you, and thanks for being with us on the Real Estate Show. We'll be back next week, and we're going to have a terrific show coming up, talking about the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors Wine and Food Festival on March the 31st. And 2 weeks from today, jobs and real estate and how the two interrelate with So Ready as economic development is. I think it's like a spring thing. We always talk about jobs in the spring somehow on these shows, and we're doing that again this year. Today, we're with Trevor and Gina Boucher, who are John L. Scott real estate brokers on a John L. Scott Market Watch show. And, it's first of all, it's great to have you two here. And
thanks for having us.
There's so much going on that, buyers and people need to be aware of in this market. One of the things that I found is that people who want to say they want to sell their house and they found one that they want to buy, but they haven't sold their home, and they want to make a contingency offer, kind of thing. And in this market, boy, I tell them we're not going to. It's going to be tough. Is that right? You guys see that same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, it goes with what price band you're dealing with. In the 300 and less, there's a lot of movement, a lot of activity in that price range. And so to come in with an offer that's contingent upon you selling your existing home, it's going to kind of make your offer weak. And if there's other offers that are non-contingent, of course, the seller is going to go with the non-contingent offer. Right. So I guess people, what they're faced with is potentially having to sell their home.
Well, sell their home first.
Sell their home
or
first.
at least get it pending, right?
At least get it pending.
Right. And then I'm glad you brought that up, because if it is pending, that is a stronger contingent offer, and that is something that people are willing to consider more so than a home. We have some people that have tried to put in a contingent offer, and the home they're selling isn't even on the market yet.
Right, and that's difficult, isn't it? I mean, it's not going to happen.
Pretty much impossible.
Yeah, and they're not going to get it. Okay, well, that's good. Now, what about selling? Gina, you said something else about selling homes. What was it?
Well, sometimes people fall in love with their dream property.
Right.
And if they cannot find it right now, then they decide, well, maybe I should just throw my hands up in the air and stop looking and take a break. But really, you can use real estate as a wonderful investment stepping stone tool. So get into something that is, and in your mind, you're understanding it's 2 years. I'm going to just build equity, and I'm still going to look for my dream property. And we just recently helped some dear friends of ours with that exact same scenario. Bought this beautiful, cute little cottage. It was very comfortable for the time. Their family's outgrown it. They've built up some equity, and now they've bought their 5 acres dream property. Yeah. So, there's no need to just stop and pull the brakes just because you're getting frustrated, not finding that special property that you've dreamt of. Use the market as a stepping stone. Build that equity. Yeah. And then...
Well, I'd rather put my money into real estate than I will into the stock market. I think that's a...
Yeah, you're not going to wake up in the morning and discover that your value has gone down by 40%.
No, you're not. And I think that people are kind of getting that. We're certainly seeing a lot of more investing going on, aren't we, in the Valley?
Yes, indeed.
Because there was, again, 2009, there was nothing. We would do shows, there was nothing happening. And same way with home building. My good Trevor, when we started our show, there was Brad Bennington would come in here, and we wouldn't have anything to talk about, basically, because there was no home building going on. And we've lost all those skilled laborers who used to build here. And so that's affecting prices and delays and things like that. So skilled labor is a big problem that we have in our valley.
Well, I think that they're on the way back. I think just the simple law of supply and demand, the lack of available housing has spurred new construction. And it's been, new construction has been pretty strong for, I'd say, about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And so I think that those skilled laborers are coming back.
Yeah. In our final couple of minutes here with you guys, I got to ask you a question because you two are the first husband and wife team or real estate brokers that we've had on the show, actually. Anyway, and I'm curious, at the beginning of the show, you started doing this together. You planned working together. Mm-hmm. Tell me how that works for you two. I mean, it's got to work. You got to click together, and real estate is a pressure-packed business. So tell me how you guys have been able to adapt to that in your life.
Well, at first we were actually pretty razzed by family and friends and people thinking, you're seriously wanting to spend all day
together.
And then all night and all weekend.
Yeah.
And they thought we were just half bonkers. Yeah, absolutely. That's been the plan
That
the
was your
whole
plan.
time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
And you two each have certain skills. I love what you talked to me about. You each have, you got to be able to get along, and you each have certain parts of the business that you kind of do together
Right.
separately.
Yes. We each have different strengths, and because we each have different strengths, it really does make us a really strong team.
Yeah.
Right. We don't step on each other's toes wanting to do everything. I mean, we're happy doing our
doing it together.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And it creates it. And one thing I've noticed in real estate, it has a good lifestyle if you do it right.
It does.
In your
It
case,
does.
you got a family, and so
Right. We have
it works.
We have 7-year-old boy-girl twins, and we have a 12-year-old daughter.
Uh-huh.
And when I was working at the hospital, something I was never able to do was help them get ready for school every morning.
Sure.
And so now that's something that I get to do, and I thoroughly enjoy. Just help wake them up, make their lunch, make sure that they're on time to catch the bus. It's the start of our morning every day.
right.
And
Well,
yeah.
and
Go
if we want to fit in field trips, or if we want to fill in hikes, or
Yeah.
if we want to go to the lake, I mean, it's our schedules. We're able to control that.
And look what you've done, because you started in real estate from nothing, and you built your business up from Team Boucher and won an award for sales last year. So that's really cool. And I hope that my point with you is that I hope other young couples who may think of that same type of thing, it doesn't have to be people who retired from some other place, or like me, myself, or Joe, But you guys are starting younger, and it's really cool to see you build your business up. And your experience at John L. Scott has been positive as mine has, hasn't it?
It's been amazing.
Yeah. All right. How can someone get a hold of you if they'd like to find Team Boucher? How can they do that?
Well, our website,
www.teamboucher.com.
and that's spelled BUSHEY. So team BUSHEY.com.
TeamBoucher.com. All right. You can Google you too, and they find you as well out of that thing.
Yes.
Well, it's nice to visit with you, and good luck. I mean, we'll have you back on again, and I'm curious as to how the next 3 or 4 months are going to be really interesting. I don't know what's going to happen,
Yeah,
but
we're excited to see it.
There's a lot of activity going on. I'm telling you, something's going on.
We've been very busy now up to this point, this past quarter. So to see that things are actually going to be even more busy, it'll be interesting to talk to you then.
All right. Well, we'll do that. That's a date. We'll mark that down on our calendar. Thanks to Trevor and Gina Boucher today. Don't forget, next week here on the Real Estate Show, the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors will be along for the talk about, at least part of the show will be about their big food and wine event on March the 31st. There's only about 75 tickets left, they said. That's at the Inn at the Commons, and that's a big event there. So hopefully you may want to go to that. So ready, 2 weeks from today, we'll talk about jobs and real estate and how they affect, and then the home builders will be along on the 26th of March. So for Joe Brett, I'm Pete Belcastro. Thanks for being with us and part of the Real Estate Show this weekend. We'll be back next Saturday. In the meantime, have a great week, everybody, and God bless. And don't forget, check us out at realestateshoworegon.com. Have a great week.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on KMED AM and FM radio, presented by John L. Scott Real Estate of Southern Oregon, along with All Cities Property Management, the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, Ditech Mortgage, the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. For guest information or to watch a past show, visit us online at realestateshoworegon.com. Join us again next weekend for Southern Oregon's one and only Real Estate Show on KMED.